Now, when you harvest them, you'll want to go on and have some sort of magical tool that has been consecrated to be able to use in your garden. These scissors here have been consecrated for me to harvest my herbs with. Now, the traditional way is that once you've harvested them, is to use some twine and to go on and gather them at the ends and wrap this around and then put them in a cool closet or cabinet for them to dry out completely. If you don't have the twine, if you have like some hemp cord or some yarn, you can use that as well. But for some of us that live in apartments, this always isn't the most convenient way of doing it. So, through trial and error, I've come to find out that if you have a small toaster oven, you can do the drying and the storing of your herbs just as fine as the other. Now, when you harvest your herbs, you want to go on and cut them at an angle. That way it doesn't destroy the rest of your plant, and it allows it to grow back sometimes even fuller than what it was when you originally did it. Now, if you have a small toaster oven, what you'll want to do is just go on and have a pair of regular tongs, but when you get finished, please make sure that you wash these off really good, because herbs like the sage, lavender, and other types of herbs do have the oil that when you pick it up, it will still be on your finger. So you want to clean these really good in hot soapy water when you're finished. What I've done is I've got my toaster oven going, and I put some lavender in here and lined my pan with some foil. Now the foil will help protect the pan from any of this getting on, so that I can use it later on to go on and still be able to cook with or bake something. And then the other thing is it also helps kind of reflect some of the heat. Now when you go on and do this, if you decide to do it this way, you want to set it no more than about 200 degrees. If you have an adjustable thing here like I do, you want to put it to bake, and then usually I set it for about 30 minutes on my timer. And every so often you want to take your tongs and you want to kind of turn them over so that it kind of gets dried out all the way through and just not one side and the other side gets burnt. Like I said, the foil will help retain some of the heat in there as well to kind of give it an all-over type drying sense. Now, sometimes you might have to send this through more than just one time, but it's something that if you decide to do it, you need to be, keeping an eye in it, or an eye on it, and not being preoccupied with other stuff, because if you do, they'll get burned up on you and then they're really of no use to you. Now, yesterday I had done some sage and some chrysanthemums. When they're dried out completely, you hear the crackling noise, and that's what you want, because then you know that they're dried out completely. My chrysanthemums, they're dried out as well. Now, when you've got enough of these gathered and you want to go on and start your own little herb collection, the best thing is to keep them in little jars like this. They don't have to be fancy. these had candles in them, and that they had lids, a good suction type lid on them, like this. So it helps keep all the moisture out. The other thing is you want to make a label as to what the herb is and, you know, what year that you harvest these. If you don't have those, if you don't have any type of little jars, you can use the plastic bags that can be bought at a local craft store or at Walmart. You still want to go on and glue on or tape on a label to this as well. But other than that, you know, you have to go on and just enjoy working with herbs and with Mother Nature and have your own little garden. And in the long run, like I said, through trial and error, you'll get your own way packed down, and you'll have really expanded your knowledge of how to do things. So I hope you've enjoyed this little clip, and I wish you all a very blessed day, and namaste.